Woo! So we're big now. I'm not sure if that means that people can see things, but welcome to Tech Thursday. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Cassie.
And this week, we're talking about splitting up. Splitsville.
Yeah.
When companies or businesses decide to split things off or decide to combine things that maybe shouldn't be combined.
Or maybe they should be.
Or maybe they should be. That's what we're going to talk about. So Cassie had this great idea. So what inspired you this week, Cassie, in thinking about this?
I was just driving and trying to think of something to talk about, and this is what came up. If we're being totally honest, I'm guess writing the newsletter. I know nothing about Foursquare, but that issue came up, how Foursquare split into Swarm and Foursquare, and I was like, and there was a whole debate about whether or not that was smart or stupid, and that kind of inspired, because Google Plus did it, and
Yeah. So, well, I can speak to Foursquare because I used to be an avid user of Foursquare, and what I liked about it was that I could track where I'd been. I could be like, oh, this is when Derek and I had our date at McKay's and whatever. Like, it was like a little record of where I had been, who had been with me generally, and stuff like that. And sometimes when you checked in, you would get cool stuff. Like when I was visiting my friends in Portland, Oregon, we were at a martini bar, and I checked in, and they gave me a free martini. It was like a $10. It was like a, I shouldn't say, maybe martinis normally cost $10, but I guess the martinis I drink don't normally cost $10. So I was impressed. But so it was like, oh, cool. I get to keep a record of where I am, and I also can get some free stuff. And I even had somebody. I was in downtown Ellsworth, which is a town about 20 minutes from here, and I was walking down the street, and I saw one of my friends, and he said, "Oh, I saw you checked in at the main grind, so I was going to come see you because you're around." Because I'm normally not there in the middle of the day, so it's also kind of a cool way to meet up with people in real life. So I was like, great, I appreciate this application, and from a business standpoint, it's cool to know who's coming to your business and all that. So that was great. And then sometime, I think, about a year ago maybe, I was being prompted to download this other app. I'm like, I already have Foursquare. It's like, you need to download Swarm to check in. And I was like, why do I need to download a separate app to check in? And so what happens is Foursquare wants to basically be like Yelp and be basically a place of just online reviews where people don't have to check in. Because I think they got a lot of blowback from I think somebody made a website called pleaserobme.com, and they just pulled in people who were updating Foursquare via Twitter. Because anybody who's updating their status saying that they're somewhere else is clearly not at home. So they got a lot of blowback from people being like, I don't want people to know where I am, it's a personal safety thing. So I think they decided to separate the two out. And what happened was the people who were using it, like me and my friend Dave, were like, well, this is annoying. Now we have to keep track of two different apps. This is stupid. So then we just stopped using it. So I have a feeling that I haven't looked at the user data for Foursquare. I have a feeling other people decided not to use it too. So,
and I saw just I guess it's an argument for what they did. It kind of makes sense in a more urban area to have Swarm as a thing. I feel like in down East Maine, it's not necessarily people I just don't think use Swarm, and B, I don't know, it's like having Tinder or something. There's going to be the same 3 people on it. It's like, okay, and you've probably already dated them anyway. Not helpful. Not that I've actually gone on Tinder. This is my imagining of how it works. But yeah, with Swarm, it's especially in the winter, there's 3 places that are open, and you've probably already talked to the people that you're going to see. But in an urban area, I can see where it would be cooler. So I was talking to one of my friends when we were in New York City about randomly bumping into people at bars, and it's a lot harder to do in a city. Whereas at Swarm, you can kind of I feel like something like that could kind of help you converge a little bit more. So maybe they were thinking of that.
Yeah, maybe they were thinking of subspecializing. Like you said, that makes sense, I guess.
I don't think they were thinking of down East Maine. they were.
I'm pretty sure they definitely were not thinking about me when they made the switch. But yeah, I guess for those of us who are keeping a record of where we've gone, I guess Facebook or other apps where you can check in. I feel like you can even check in on Yelp. I think there's other apps that allow you to say you've been somewhere, and then you can keep track of that over time if you want to. But yeah, so maybe they were like, oh, there's other people in the market, and we're gonna, like you said, be cool and urban and provide this needed service for our urban people who want to run into each other. I just thought it was cool that it would take something that existed online and bring it in real life. Because everyone's like, oh, you just online friends. I'm like, well, no, because we're using the internet to meet up in real life. I thought that was what was cool about it. But so something to think about is, one, if you're gonna break it out, that maybe you're breaking it out for the reason of subspecializing, but that you're gonna, if you build up a user base of certain people, you're gonna lose some of them in your transition, and that's totally normal.
I'm thinking of not that I've ever done this, but when you plant plants or you have succulents or something, and one of them's budding. It's is it big enough that I can detach this yet? Or if I detach it, is it gonna shrivel up and die? Is this ready yet?
That's a really good point, is that, yeah, I guess things start off more general and then you bud and you can, I like the succulent. It's a nice idea.
Like I said, I've never actually planted them on my own because I feel like I would be the person that kind of leaves it alone. I'm like, oh my god, I have 3 plants leeching off of this one and everything's gonna die. What have I done?
I am not the grower in our family.
I'm the Dr. Frankenstein plant. I made a monster.
Well, I guess the worst case scenario is it's gonna die. And in the case of a more tech app, instead of just sadness in general, death of plants, you have, people's jobs and millions of dollars on the line, but,
Right, and then people are like, hey, remember that time you did that thing and failed?
Remember the time you tried to pull this apart and actually is what it was holding it together?
Right, yeah, so it's, and I mean, I don't have the answer. You can't just I'm not the guru for this. They came to me, I wouldn't be able to say yeah, you guys should not do that. That's a terrible idea. But
right. And then
this general music.
Totally. Well, and then the flip side of, so also stuff getting too big, right? So Google Plus has announced it's separating, I believe it's images?
Yeah, it's separating. Well, they want to think about it in 3 different ways. So it's communication, stream, and photos. So Hangouts is always going to be its own thing, I guess.
Yay.
But the other thing, your Google Plus page itself, you can post stuff and then you can have a photo stream. I don't really do either one online, to be honest, but so.
Are they trying to compete with Instagram with the photo stream thing?
I don't know. That's why I'm kind of. Apparently, there are people out there who use the photo thing and really love it. So they have established beforehand that the bud, if they decided to detach it, could in theory have enough of a user base to grow on its own, or at least survive on its own.
Right. That's interesting.
And then the stream is just status. So it's like a Twitter and Instagram as opposed to it started out as Facebook and now it's
subdividing into YouTube or video, Instagram/photo content, and then just text and links.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I don't know when that's supposed to happen though.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's probably rolled into. So for those of you unaware, Google is making a pretty big change on April 21st to its algorithm, and everyone's freaking out about it. But basically, it's just going to be content's going to be more important. So people like us who are trying to, produce some interesting content, trying to be the keyword, are going to be sort of more search enginely rewarded for that. But also right now, when you do a search on your smartphone, it'll say, if you're in Google, it'll say if the site's mobile friendly or not, just kind of warning you, hey, if you click on this, you might be waiting a while. It's not, so it'll say mobile friendly, but I guess when the algorithm changes, they're just going to rank sites if they're mobile friendly, and if they're not, they're going to So one of our friends then Pete actually last night was like, you guys should take search engine result pictures the day before and the day after the change.
He's so good.
He is so good. I was like, will you be our salesperson? He could like, he's so passionate.
Yeah, they just have great ideas.
Yeah, he's a smart dude. Yeah, so I thought that was like an interesting thing. So, but anyway, so I'm wondering if when they roll out this big search engine change, if they're going to be like, oh, we also changed Google Plus today. Ta-da.
Surprise.
Yeah, like around the same time, it would make sense to sort of do it all together. Instead of being like, oh, we're changing this, and then we're going to wait 4 days, and then we're going to change this other thing. It might make sense to change all the things at once, let everyone complain for the 48 to 72 hours they're going to complain, and then let them move on with their life. Not that people are like that, of course.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, like, yeah, you're always going to have people that are like, I don't like change, and they want everything to stay in one place.
Yeah, because they're used to it. And that's fine, but like when you don't own a company and you're not seeing the succulent growing, this bud that needs to be snipped off and given its own pot.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, I mean, you're just seeing it from your point of view. Like, I'm seeing the Foursquare change only from my point of view. I totally get that because I had this ridiculous attachment to it, and then it changed, and then I was sad, but I was quietly sad. You can go back and look at around that time they made that change. I'm not loudly complaining about it. You know, that's what happens when there's a company you don't control. They get to change things on you.
The Lyft thing that I was using.
Yeah.
That changed to Coach Me, and I stopped using it. I was like, that's the most annoying thing ever.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going to be able to do a handstand.
Just kidding. No, because that was like a good premise, right? Of like this habit inducing, but I think they were like, oh, we want people to be, because I was getting
money.
Yeah, we want money and we want people to be able to coach. And I was like, oh, I want to pay for like a $10 a month life coach. Like if I want a life coach, I'm gonna like.
Yeah, and PS One was sending like 3 notifications a day. What's the life coach gonna do virtually that's gonna be really any different from that?
Right. Well, if you're paying them $10 a month, there's really not much you should expect them to do, except, you know,
right,
like kind of poke you. But yeah.
But the application already did that for me. Is why I was kind of like, if I want a real life coach, I'll get a real life coach.
Exactly. Yeah, I just want something to poke me.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I felt like when I was watching, like when I was in high school, I tried to do like typo and stuff like on TV.
Nice.
Like in my living room. And it just never worked because they'd be like, like the first time I did it, as soon as it started, they were like, it was just like a warm up thing. He was like, "I'd start doing it." And I just sat down on the couch and I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
What I love is when you're doing that, they're like, good job, you're really working hard. And I'm like, you don't even see me. I'm sitting on the couch
with
eating
a
chips.
dozen donuts.
I do that with workout videos too. I just sit there and I'm like, you don't
And
see me.
that's what I would do, like
With the virtual coach.
Yeah.
Work on your headstand, Cassie. No. It's something about like being like contrary to like a non-feeling device like a phone feels stupid, but when there's another person involved, like Coach Jen, you're like, F you, Coach Jen, I don't know you.
You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through.
You don't. Oh, Coach Jen. I think it was Coach Jen that was bugging me for a while. I was like, oh my God, get me. Because they were emailing me too. I was like, this is supposed to be on my phone. I want it to be on my phone. Don't give me more email. I had this whole thing, by the way, with people. I have a hard time managing my email. I'm not great at getting like 300 messages a day, and that's about what I get. And it's just like, so any way that I can cut down an email. But when they just started emailing me, and I was like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, I deleted it.
Yeah, that's like, yeah.
That's why those blog posts stopped. Because I stopped using it.
Maybe you should write a blog post about why you stopped using it.
I think the last one that I did was kind of like
okay. Like a goodbye. Goodbye, America.
Like, go over this.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, so sometimes like things can just morph into something else, you know, which is...
Yeah, that was less of a budding and more of a like...
I'm a completely different kind of plant now. Like now I'm a birch tree. What?
Oh, snap. Your pot can't support this.
I liked it when it was a succulent, but now that it's a birch tree, I'm gonna just put it on the curb. I hope someone just takes to a nice home. Not that I would do that to a plant, of course.
I'd take it out of the woods and be like, you're on your own now.
I want to kind of do that to our lemon tree. We have this like giant lemon tree, and it takes up, I'm not even kidding you, like a quarter of our kitchen. And every year Derek trims it down because one time it produced 2 lemons. Like 3 years ago, it produced 2 lemons. I was like, here's $1. Let's go to the grocery store and buy 2 lemons. But this tree is like, we decorate around it, and like, it's like having a Christmas tree, but all the time.
And it might give you lemons.
It might give us lemons someday, but like, come on, give us 2 lemons in like 3 years. He's like, oh, that chicken was so good that we made with it, that we made like a lemon chicken with it. And I was like, we can go like, you know what, we can even go for organic lemons at this point. Like, let's like spend $3 and buy 2 giant organic lemons, shall we? And save this expense. But anyway, I keep threatening that one day it's gonna not be there when he comes home, but I can't do that to him. I did that to the cactus. There was also a cactus we were decorating around. It was like large. It was like ficus tree large. That is next to Cassie. There's a big ficus tree that one of our friends gave us.
And it's lovely.
And it's lovely. But this was a cactus, and it was next to our kitchen table. So like, it was annoying because no one ever wanted to sit next to it because, you know, it's a cactus.
It's a cactus.
Oh no, we gave it away. It was the most annoying thing to give away ever. But anyway, sometimes things turn into something else, and you know, in doing so, they lose their people. And sometimes you have 2 separate things that can combine into something. That happens with tech a lot. Is like, there's these 2 separate things, and like, so like Facebook buys Instagram and like tries to figure out, so like the 2 plants kind of merge together. So like, maybe they get put in the same pot. A merger.
I don't know why I like to say it like that. Merger.
It sounds like murder.
The Office employs like R is one of the most menacing sounds in the English language. That's why they call it murder and not fuck death. Anyway.
Yeah, it's true. And like
many others.
And merger sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, merger. The word merger scares me. Like, oh my god, something's big happening and I can't handle it.
Yeah, like if that was a K, and it would be like neck geck. Like, no one could take that seriously. There was a neck geck. Right?
It's friendlier for me, but
yeah, it's totally
more accessible.
Totally. But some plants grow better together, and it makes sense to put them together.
In our container gardening, we learned about plants that you can put in the same container. So tomatoes grow well with some other plants.
Cassie went to a container gardening class yesterday. She filled me in.
It was pretty much like that.
No, I think, yeah, I know what you mean though.
I have it written down somewhere. I just can't remember what they are. Really?
Sorry, that's what notes are
Or
for.
if you think of like the rhinos and they have the little birds on their back that like
Pick off their
whatever gross rhino stuff.
gross. These birds.
Gross isn't a me thing. The birds think it's lovely, but
Oh yeah, it's true. We shouldn't judge it. Maybe those bugs, maybe they're delicious. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But it makes sense in some cases to combine 2 things together. That would make a lot of sense.
you know the hot rod, the 2 of hearts.
The two of hearts.
Anyway.
2 cards can be sometimes. That's right. It's the first Tech Thursday Cassie's song.
Is it?
I know.
Hungry Eyes.
Oh, you did Hungry Eyes. It's true. You'll have to go back in the archives for that one. Oh, and the Grinch. Did you sing? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Sorry, everyone.
No, it's good. It's good.
I'm trying to think of more examples of 2 becoming 1.
Like Spice Girls. I need some loving like I never needed love before.
I only know like 3 Spice Girls songs, to be honest.
Oh, it's okay. We'll listen to it after this. See, what happens is Cassie's seen all the movies, and I've heard all the weird songs that came out in the 90s, so we catch each other up. The pop culture things. But
thought I had brushing my teeth this morning about this Tech Thursday. Hold on. So we were talking earlier about businesses that try to change too much at once.
yes,
Like when you inherit a business and then you're like,
I'm gonna change all the things.
but the problem is you already had a kind of loyal consumer base. And that's why the business was successful. And that's why you bought a successful business. You weren't buying a dying business, but then the business is dying because you changed too much at once. Movie franchises
Yes.
that try to change too much. So like you have the first 3 Star Wars, and then you like 20 years later.
Span of time.
20 years later, they went back and did the first 3, and then it was like kind of, but it was successful because it's Star Wars.
Well, and they did it as a group of 3. It's not like they did one and then they were like waiting to see. They committed to doing the
both.
3.
Yeah, in both sets, it was like 3 in the.
Yeah, maybe 70s. Yeah, maybe late 70s. Yeah, I'm not
I
entirely
know
sure.
my Uncle Dan really liked them, and he was old enough to go see them. He was born in 75, so.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's my base.
There you go. Uncle Dan.
Uncle Dan.
100%.
Who's not watching this?
Not yet. He will someday.
And then I was probably 8 or 9 when they started the Phantom Menace
Yes.
came out when I was 8 or 9. And I remember because my dad was like, we have to go see this. And it turned into like, I remember Dad had us that day because my mom had to work. That makes it sound like my parents were divorced. They were together. It was just a weird.
It was just a weird day.
It was just a weird day where Dad was in charge of us and was like, "Hey, I really want to see this movie because we're doing today."
Nice.
He also took us to see Big Daddy on my brother's 7th birthday. So,
Ooh.
yeah,
Good choice there.
I understood like 10% of that movie.
Totally. Yeah, I can see that.
Anywho, back to what I was going to talk about. The new Mad Max movie is coming out
Soon.
the week. I know it's the weekend of the Sugarloaf Marathon.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because you've got your eyes on the
And
prize.
Tom Hardy. Well, speaking of eyes on the prize, Tom Hardy's the new Mad Max. Who's like I don't know, like some people are obsessed with Johnny Depp, some people are obsessed with
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. I'm obsessed with Tom Hardy.
I did not know that about you.
Oh really?
No.
I feel like I talk about it all the time.
You don't talk about enough that I noticed, but so he's the new Mad Max. Is he such a departure from the old Mad Max? I can't.
Mel Gibson
Oh.
is the old Mad Max.
Oh. Yeah.
Which I've never seen any of the old ones, but everyone that I've talked to about it, somehow like, oh, it's Tom Hardy, and everyone that I've talked to is like, you have to see the old one. Like, there's no way that you can. And my family is all up in Tom Hardy's business too, so they all like understand my obsession. But even they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess it gives people something to talk. I guess that might generate buzz by thinking somebody really unexpected, though. You know what I mean? So maybe part of, I guess, like rebooting something.
And they're not trying to remake it. It's like going to be like a prequel sequel type thing.
Oh, okay. They're not remaking the movie.
Right. It's like,
yeah. It's like, this is an enhanced. So that's really the best of both worlds when you think about it, because you're not going to alienate the base of people who like the old Mad Max. They're going to be like, oh, like, they're going to take their kids to see it, and then they're going to see the old movies, right? But they're also introducing a new group of people to this figure. So it's like, the prequel is pretty non-offensive. I mean, I'm not saying it's completely non-offensive. I'm just saying it's better than remaking an existing movie.
There's some people that are like really, like, you cannot remake the old, like, no one can replace Mel Gibson type of stuff.
Oh.
So, we'll see.
Yeah. I guess there's always people that feel that way, but I'm just saying in terms of like, if you're gonna like remake an entire movie, like the old movie didn't exist. Like, I'm trying to think, like, I haven't seen it. Live action Cinderella, is there like a live action Cinderella or something that's gonna just like replace the animated version? I feel like there's something like that in the works, but again, I don't know much about movies. I know more about really bad music that came out 20 years ago. But I have a feeling that like when you try to replace something, it's, you know, versus like, oh, there's this other thing that's going to go with it. But yeah, it's yeah, and in your like business or online life, sometimes it makes sense to separate your brands or your things, and sometimes it makes sense to combine them together, and sometimes it makes sense to do a completely new thing but harken back to the old. It's harken. I never thought I'd ever say that word out loud, and I just did.
I have, but it was because the boss in Anchorman's name is Ed Harkin, so that's the only time I've used it.
I can't believe I said harken. That's so weird. Let's see what other bespoke words I can bring back today.
We'll harken back to those words.
It's true. But yeah, so I'll be curious to see what this Google breakout thing looks like. And
yeah, me too. I was like, I'll hold off on worrying about photo anything because it's gonna change in 2 seconds. So
yeah,
of course, that was like months ago that they started this, and I was like, all right, well, yeah.
No, but hey, at least it's on your radar. You know, it's like we can't necessarily, you know. And I guess that's the other thing is if you're gonna change something, start getting people used to the idea earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so for example, like software releases, right? Like a lot of software releases come out on a schedule, and it's not because I'm sure the software people necessarily want it to come on a schedule because, you know, pressure, but they need to let their people know when they need to upgrade, you know, when that's going to happen so that they can plan for it.
And then when people are all like, oh my God, this changed suddenly, we're like, no, we told you this was going to happen.
Right, and they can look back in the archives or the company blog or something and see that like, oh, right, they did mention this. And then you can't be too mad if someone's warned you about something, you know?
Yeah, especially like, I feel like the Google thing's like to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to hear about it anymore, just change it already.
But it's
which
fine.
is good, because, you know, I'm sure there are people out there that are still going to be surprised by them.
Well, no, and that's why people's like, did you hear about this Google change? And I was like, in my head, I was like, yes, I've heard about it. But then I was like, you know what? Just because we're knee deep in it doesn't mean other people. So they have to keep telling people.
Yeah.
Which I get. I understand. But yeah. If you're gonna make a change, if you're gonna go rogue and become Swarm,
let people know.
Yeah, and let people know way ahead that it's coming and why it's coming. And yeah, there's still gonna be a couple of people who are upset, but there's always...
Yeah, it's not like one day you just suddenly had like a new blood on a succulent that was like a full-on new plant. Like you've been watching it happen for a bit. Like you had some time in advance to like maybe prepare. Yeah, the other pot of people. I don't know.
I really appreciate the succulent turn that this episode has taken.
It's good. Buy a succulent.
Yeah, me too. Makes me wanna go find a big cactus. Just kidding. Oh yeah. But yeah. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm just thinking about Mad Max.
We'll go let Cassie be alone with Tom Hardy in her mind.
No need.
She's already there.
So yeah, if you have any other questions or comments or anything for us, you can comment on the video or visit our website at breakingdeepening.com.
Yeah, and we're always looking for topics, so we're open, really.
Yeah. Otherwise, I will just come up with something on my commute to work. So
yeah. No, you've had some solid ideas the last few weeks. Cassie, she's the Don Draper of this operation. The old Don Draper, not the current
like season 1 Don Draper.
Yeah, season 1 Don Draper, definitely.
Season 8 Don Draper makes me sad.
I know. So from season 1 Don Draper and season 3 Leslie Knope. Have a great week.
That's awesome.
Season 1 was
heinous.
yeah.